Okay, let's dive right into this explainer. Today, we're uncovering ancient India, looking at the very first nomads and the absolute masters of urban planning. It's a story packed with incredible innovation, resilience, and honestly, mysteries that archaeologists are still scratching their heads over today. We always hear about ancient Egypt or Mesopotamia, right? Well, the history of India is equally, if not more, captivating. We're talking about some of humanity's most peaceful, enlightened, and advanced early societies. Now, our story doesn't start with grand cities or towering monuments. Actually, it begins an incredible 30,000 years ago with the Adivasi, the ancient native peoples of India. 30 millennia. That is just a staggering amount of time when you think about it. I mean, we're talking way, way before the first bricks were ever laid or the first wheel was ever turned. So, kicking things off with Section 1, the first nomads, the Adivasi. We've got to start our chronological journey with these ancient pioneers who roamed the land, adapting to the wildly diverse environments of India long before any major settled civilizations took root. These early tribes lived mostly as nomads and semi-nomads. And, because they were constantly on the move and living off the land, they left behind almost zero physical or archaeological evidence. But here's the amazing part. They didn't vanish without a trace. Their legacy survives brilliantly through oral traditions, stories passed down across countless generations, living on in their modern descendants today. It's just a profound testament to the power of human memory over tens of thousands of years. Moving on to Section 2, the rise of the Indus Valley. Fast forward to the late 4th millennium BC, which was a massive turning point. This is when those small, scattered farming communities along the river valleys actually began to evolve and merge together into one of the planet's very first great urban societies, the Indus Valley Civilization. Looking at this timeline, it builds a picture of a civilization that thrived for nearly 2,000 years. Starting around 3300 BCE with the early Harappan phase, they began establishing village networks. Then, by 2600 BCE, boom, they hit their mature peak, building these massive, well-planned cities. And what's wild is they existed right alongside ancient Egypt and Mesopotamia, yet they remain uniquely mysterious for one huge reason. To this day, we literally cannot decipher their writing. No way to read it. And they were absolutely massive in scale. At its height, the Indus Valley Civilization supported up to 5 million people. Just try to wrap your head around that for a second. That's a population larger than modern-day Los Angeles, all living across hundreds of ancient settlements and major cities like Harappa, Mohenjo-Daro, and Dholavira, situated in what is today modern Pakistan and northwest India. Which brings us to Section 3, Masters of Urban Planning. Because really, how do you organize a society of 5 million people over 4,000 years ago? Well, that brings us to their shockingly modern approach to city building. Honestly, it still drops the jaws of modern archaeologists. They didn't just build homes haphazardly, they engineered highly systematic cities. They were absolute pioneers of the grid pattern. Their cities were divided by these broad main streets into very distinct residential, commercial, and administrative zones, with narrower alleys connecting individual homes. It literally looks like a blueprint for a modern city grid. The details here are just staggering. Not only did their streets systematically intersect at perfect right angles, but they used standardized, kiln-baked bricks. Think of them almost like ancient Lego blocks, built to precise, uniform ratios across entirely different cities. This definitely wasn't an accident. Every single detail points to a highly sophisticated, centralized administration, or maybe a really cooperative council enforcing building codes and coordinating large-scale infrastructure. But perhaps their most remarkable achievement was their revolutionary focus on sanitation and public health. Their commitment to clean water and advanced urban infrastructure wouldn't be matched anywhere else in the world for over 1,000 years. It was a complete game changer for the ancient world. Let's actually walk through how this worked. First, many homes were equipped with their own private wells and bathrooms. I mean, that was a massive luxury in antiquity, way ahead of its time. Second, household wastewater wasn't just dumped out into the street, it was carefully channeled through specific chutes. And third, it flowed into an extensive, interconnected, covered underground drainage network beneath the city streets. Just think about it. They engineered a comprehensive sewer system designed to keep the entire city clean and protect public health. This communal concern for public health naturally leads us into Section 4, an egalitarian social structure. It really gives us a hint about who these people were and how they related to one another. So because we can't read their texts, we have to look at the stones to figure out their society. And we find this really fascinating balance. On one hand, the remarkable uniformity in housing sizes and standardized materials suggest a pretty egalitarian society, with way less extreme class division than you'd expect. But on the other hand, the existence of massive public works, like centralized granaries for food storage and the Great Bath of Mohenjo-Daro, reveals a clear centralized hierarchy capable of managing vast resources and mobilizing labor. And looking closely at their residential architecture, we see some brilliant functional design. Most houses were actually centered around open courtyards. This was essentially ancient air conditioning. It provided natural ventilation that allowed air to circulate and regulate the temperature in that hot climate. We see a society that truly valued comfortable, sustainable, and practical living across the board.
Beyond their homes, artifacts show a bustling, specialized economy. You had merchants utilizing highly regulated, standardized weights and measures. Artisans were crafting incredibly intricate pottery, jewelry, and those famous carved seals. Farmers were out there managing complex monsoon agriculture to feed the masses. And they weren't isolated at all. They built flourishing trade networks stretching all the way to Mesopotamia, proving they were for sure a globally connected economic powerhouse back then.
Now for Section 5, the gradual decline. As we all know from history, nothing lasts forever. So let's examine why these thriving, masterfully planned cities eventually emptied out, bringing an end to their golden age. What's really absolutely crucial to understand here is that there was no single catastrophic collapse or massive invasion that wiped them out. Actually, scratch that. It wasn't a sudden event at all. It was a gradual decline. After 1800 BC, the climate became cooler and drier. This completely disrupted the crucial monsoon agricultural cycles they relied on. On top of that, tectonic activity and earthquakes literally shifted the vital Indus River westward, depriving these massive cities of their water. So over centuries, the population was forced to gradually migrate southeast, deeper into the Indian subcontinent. They may have left their grand cities behind to be buried by time, but the Indus Valley people didn't just disappear. Their descendants carried on. In fact, many scholars believe the roots of the Dravidian language family, which includes modern languages like Telugu, Tamil, and Kannada, originated from these very migrants. Their enduring influences on urbanization, sustainability, and social living permanently shaped the cultural DNA of South Asia. I'm going to leave you with this thought to ponder today. If an ancient society using nothing but mud, baked bricks, and human ingenuity could perfect communal hygiene and egalitarian urban planning over 4,000 years ago, what is stopping our modern city planners from achieving that same level of harmony and community-oriented design today? Something to think about. Thank you so much for exploring the roots of ancient India with me in this explainer.